After we finished MDS the second time, I remember I stopped and had a cup of tea, as you normally serve at the end, and somebody stuck a camera in my face and asked me, "What's your next goal?" And without thinking, I said, "I don't know how to swim properly. I need to get into swimming, and I'm going to take up triathlon." I'll backtrack that. Before the race began, I saw a lot of people with IronMan tattoos on their calf muscles. And they had these bags that they were carrying, which were IronMan bags. And I didn't know what IronMan was at the beginning of MDS. And at the end of it, I said I was going to do an Ironman, which is fine. But in the course of the next 2 years, which was a complete struggle, not from the standpoint of training and fitness, but I tried to make sure that I hit those training blocks so much that I ignored the stuff that was going on in my personal life and my family. And Tom calls it the Rickson show, right? And it's true, because someone said, "Hey, you must be very inspirational or motivational to your kids." And I thought about it, and I said, how? I leave the house at 4 a.m. I come back after having ridden my bike for 8 hours or 10 hours. I'm a complete vegetable after that. You know, it's the time when they want me to hang out with them and do stuff with them, but I have no energy for it. How am I inspiring them on any level? And at some point in time, I realized that goal, which I set for myself based on a pressure of a TV crew, had nothing to do with me. It didn't mean anything for me. I didn't enjoy it anymore, right?
How did you navigate it?
At the time, it was about just showing up and trying to get through it. Because the goal was to get through that one Ironman, to get through that one long swim, long bike, long run. And we did it at a time, it was a solo race that I ended up doing. It was just a couple of days before lockdown. We had horrible weather.
I remember it well.
I remember hating every bit of the race from the bike leg onwards. You see, the swim was first. It was already raining. It was horrible weather. But that was the intention, was to get better at the swim. We did a 500-meter warm-up before the 3.8-kilometer swim. At that time, I finished swimming 4.3 kilometers. It was the most I'd ever swum at one point in my life. So really, at that point in time, my race was done. What I wanted to accomplish out of it was done.
But you see, swim.
I had to swim. But there was a 180-kilometer bike after that in horrible weather and a 42-kilometer run. I didn't enjoy the rest of that at all. To the point where today when I ride down that stick, it just brings back that memory of that solo.
I don't think I've seen you there many times since.
No, I haven't been there. And I realized I don't relate to that anymore. It's not my goal anymore. It's not. So I had to sign up to multiple races and be a no-show to finally realize that signing up for these races isn't going to change how I feel about it. And how I felt about it is, this is not a relevant goal to me anymore. I need to be there. I want to be there on the weekends with my family. I want to be able to wake up the next morning on Monday when the week has begun, fresh, to be able to serve my clients, take care of my family, make sure that I'm in the best shape physically and mentally. It took failing a lot. Taking my bike out in the morning, putting it back in the car without riding and going back. And mentally, it wasn't very good for me either, because I had to face people over there who saw me show up and saw me go back, without riding at all. And then, of course, you've got things like Strava and everything else where it shows the distance you've run, ridden, etc. I didn't realize this is not for me anymore. I had to disconnect from that goal.
When you were in it,
yeah.
Did you know? Don't look back now, because looking back now, it's obvious that you knew, because you can see all the signs.
Yeah.
But when you were in it, what was how were you feeling?
The first 6 months, 6 to 8 months, I think, when I started, to the time I finished the solo Ironman distance, I needed to the goal was finish that single race, not the half Ironman, but finish the full, whether this happened in South Africa or this happened in our backyard was irrelevant. The realization that it was not for me only came on the day of the race.
Wow.
In the middle of the bike leg. When at one point, I was riding slower than I could run.
Yeah.
I did turn around a couple of times. I don't know how many people know this. I turned around a couple of times, and I had left my live tracking on my phone, and Tom constantly sent me voice messages saying, "Turn back around, finish your distance, or you're going to hate yourself for it tomorrow. You're going to regret this tomorrow." And he was right. I'm so happy he made me finish it.
Yeah.
Because finishing it told me that, hey, I did it. I'm happy that I finished it because now it's done. But I enjoyed the journey till the day of the race. Post-race, getting out there on the bike course did nothing for me.
Do you look back on it now or how do you look back on it now? Are you proud of it? Are you, like what, if you were, and I don't love labels, mate, but
yeah, sure.
From what I've seen from afar, and obviously I'm not quite as close to it as Tom, but I see you often, and the way you've explained it, it was this phase.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's also a phase with, there must be an insane amount of emotion linked to it.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. There's a lot of emotion linked to it. But you remember we started this conversation with priorities and what is priority for now. At that point, that was the priority. At that point, it gave me a lot of, I can tell you that single day and the journey leading up to that got me through COVID. Got me through COVID because it was just before lockdown.
Yeah.
And it allowed me to stay relevant and stay strong for the people that depended on me through COVID, through the lockdown. I have a team, I have clients, I have family, I have friends. It allowed me to stay relevant and stay strong for them. Because the confidence that came from being able to do that from scratch in that short period of time was amazing. Imagine a runner's high, but a runner's high lasting a whole year. That's what it felt like.
And it was literally, the time period was literally April 2019 to March 2020.
Yeah.
When you finished MDS in April 19, and then you completed the Ironman in... This
is true, but I actually began training for Ironman only in September of 2019, after the summer and everything else. Yeah.
A very short period of time.
It was a very short period of time.
So do we have to go through things like that?
I don't know if it has to be in that format, but I do think that whether you choose it or it happens organically in your life, the tougher situations make you tougher. It builds a resilience. It also tells you whether it is for you or not. For instance, I don't see myself participating in a triathlon again in the near future, unless something changes. And the change for me that I'm looking at is if Luca decides...
I knew it.
Yeah, if he says, I want to do it, Dad, I'll go with him. Yeah. And I won't go there to race, but I'll go with him to keep him company. It's a young mind. There will be those periods in time where your mind's going to say no, and you may need the extra push. I had Tom messaging me on a long day telling me, you have to go through it. He'll need somebody, Luca will need somebody, Leah will need somebody, and I'll do it if they do it again, if they want to do it.
Yeah, right.
Or I'll do it if I really feel that I'm at this point where I miss it, I crave it, I want it really bad, I'm missing, I need this itch to be scratched, I'll do it. But otherwise, I think it's important to have these tough situations. I think life's going to throw those tough situations your way anyways. I don't know anybody who's lived through life, regardless of their financial well-being. I don't know anybody who's lived through life without any issues.
Yeah, yeah.
And sure, when you're going through it, it may be the toughest thing in the world. But once you're through, once you're, over on the other side, much like my run this morning, once you're over that bridge and you're going downhill, you realize you've become stronger as a result of it. So I think it's needed. I think it's life. Whether we should actively go looking for it or not, I think this depends upon people's personalities.